Alright, today we're having a look at Trouble in Paradise by Jadzia. Alright, so here we are in Trouble in Paradise by Jadzia of Deep Space Nine fame, but with an extra D. It is an LBP 1 level, so hopefully it's not gonna break, because that is a thing that happens periodically. It was a nice day on Little Big Planet. Don't anyone tell Stephen I that the Jadzia put a space between those. I missed that. That's okay. Apparently there's a story going on here. Make sure we hit that. Liking the look so far. It's bubble-tastic, but I don't have a problem with point bubbles. Nothing too challenging yet. There were bubbles to find, challenges to face. Sack people were happy. Yes! And thank you for the gender-neutral sack people. I appreciate that. Until someday, someone had an idea, a very bad idea. It made the sack people sad. I have no hearts in my levels. Maybe I should call it heart for heart. Oh, okay. Well, that was definitely an issue in LBP 1. So let's go get these donuts. Hurry, take the rocket to the donuts. I will do that. Where do we want to go now? The music is gone. The music is gone. Uh-oh. Darkness. Darkness has enveloped the land. I'm digging it, though. So far, at least. We're gonna have to go and check to see if we can go into the background, because this is an LBP 1 level, and I doubt it was, Heard you like Heart for Heart? Not a fan myself. I'm not really a fan of Heart for Heart myself, either. But it does seem to have gone away. I don't really see Heart for Heart too often on LBP 3 levels. That aspect of the community seems to have run its course, perhaps. OMG, H for life. C's, I already has a trophy. Just say no to Heart for Heart. Okay. Oh my god, me. Annoying, isn't it? I have no idea what's going on. Do we do something here? We're being taught a lesson. If you make an empty level just a Heart for Heart, you should be punished. I feel that I have been punished. Duly punished. A little bit hard to tell the hitboxes on those hazards. Eh? Oh, come on. For real? I guess the lighting hadn't really caught up with the hazard. Oh, jeepers. Well, it got hard quick. But I've never done Heart for Heart. Why do you punish me? I have been punished. We are all being punished in some way, somehow. This world seeks to punish us, to grind us down. Oh, crumbs. Oh, we've only got 3 seconds left. We're gonna have to talk about this back at the hub. As you know what, we're gonna get to the end of this so that I don't actually kill myself on accident. Because I think this is not an infinite life checkpoint level. Get me over there. Oh, crumbs. Okay, well, we're gonna talk about this back at the hub. We will see you there. See yas. And we're back, and Trouble in Paradise by Jadzia, and I'd say it's a relatively solid yellow square. It's a bit more interested in telling its story than necessarily putting together a difficult or challenging gameplay, but for what it's aiming at, I think that it gets where it's going, and I certainly had a fun enough time with it. It's always nice for me to go back to these LBP 1 levels, take that trip in the Wayback Machine, and kind of, you know, revisit the early days of the community and revisit the early days of the creation process. It's been a long time. It's been 11 years now. I think we mentioned that in the last episode, but it always brings back memories, and generally speaking, fond memories for me. I had a lot of great fun with LBP 1 and LBP 2. My experience with LBP 3 has been a little bit different, but that's because it's been more heavy on the creation and video production side than necessarily the kind of interacting with the community and watching trends in gameplay, which you would think is kind of strange considering what I do, but that is that. And this is, I think, a really good example of those LBP 1 trying to deliver some kind of message or trying to deliver some kind of story to the players. And it's interesting to go back to the controversy of Heart for Heart, and feels to me, at least, as I mentioned in the video, that that's mostly died down. I don't really see a lot of heart-for-heart, begging, unless I am looking at the old levels. I guess the community has kind of drifted past that particular controversy, but there was a time when, as the level points out, that these empty box levels were everywhere, and just begging basically for hearts so that we could get the trophies for completion, 100% completion. I never got 100% completion in LBP 1 or LBP 2 or LBP 3 for that matter. No platinums on those. I'm very, very sad. But those empty box levels, and if you've been following the series since the before, one of the easiest ways to get a red diamond, triangle, excuse me, on a level that I'm judging is if it's an empty box. I do find them to be extremely lazy, so I do kind of, I jibe with the message that Jadzia is telling us here, that don't do that. And I guess a lot of players don't do that so much anymore. The level is kind of, it's the story in two parts. You've got that initial gardens, very simple, kind of an introductory level gameplay. Lots of bubbles, point bubbles to pick up. I didn't notice any prize bubbles, but it might be because I have community prizes turned off. There's not really too much in there that's probably going to kill a player. It is very set up on that, like, very first stage type of difficulty curve. And we get to the twist, where heart for heart is being introduced, and we get to the rocket, and the rocket takes us, up to escape from heart for heart. I've run into a girl who gets squished, asks us not to do heart for heart, and then we are dropped in through that scoreboard, the false scoreboard. There's actually two false scoreboards in the level, one to start us off and one in the middle, into an more challenging gameplay section. There is, that section is not particularly difficult. It is a jump, and selling it as a punishment for doing heart for heart is, I don't know if it's mean-spirited, but you can definitely get through that section without death. Particularly the spikes. The spike section looks a lot more difficult than it actually is. If you stay in the back layer and just hop over the back layer spikes, you'll be perfectly fine. You don't actually have to weave through those spikes, which is good because I always have a lot of trouble with that. I found the timing on the flaming bits to be a little bit odd, but I think that was mostly because I was rushing. And after that, it's pretty much the level is over. We could have completed the level if we hadn't picked up a couple of those extra deaths and dilly-dallied around early on. And the level says no heart for heart. Earn your hearts. And I think it's a fine enough message, and it's a message that I guess the community has largely embraced over time. It's a question, I suppose, but because there's like 10 million levels in the community now. I can't look through all of them. I can't catch every trend. But as far as LBP 1 levels, I did have a pretty solid, a pretty fun time with this. One thing I wanted to point out for players that are accessing this through LBP 3, as I myself am, there are no breaks in the level. Nothing is not spawning that ought to be spawning, for example. The lighting issue that we had going into the more difficult section and the spiky section of that, I think that was more of a patience issue on my part, but we do know from some levels that there are lighting glitches, or the way that lighting was handled in LBP 1 is handled differently in LBP 3, so they don't always look the way they were intended to look. Sometimes things are over bright or over dark, but that's not really an issue here. You can go into the background because of course we've got the 16 layers for LBP 3 levels, and the engine basically applies that to any level that's been produced previously that hasn't been updated in LBP 3 to actually limit the layers to 3. So if you want to, you can go all the way into the background and then just basically bypass the entire level and pop up into the foreground and finish things off. One little interesting thing I noticed to mention before we go, there is a section where you're going to that rocket, and there's actually a bit of glitched in invisible material there that will lock you off from bypassing the rocket section, from going past the rocket section. That by itself is interesting because getting invisible material in LBP 1 was a bit of a thing. There was no actual invisible material for us to work with. But what also made it interesting for me was that Jadzia Dax chose to go with the more old school, let's use glass material for invisibility in the actual rocket section and in between those two clouds. So to have invisible material and then glass as representing invisible material was, I thought, a bit of an interesting stylistic choice there. There's nothing wrong with it, there's nothing bad about it, it just kind of stood out in my mind. But yeah, I had a good time with this one, and if you'd like to take a trip back in the Wayback Machine, there are certainly worse levels you could choose than this one. So give it a shot and see what you think. But I think I've nannered on a little bit too much about this level and about the history of the LBP community for the moment, so that does it for us this go about. So from me, Ryusuke, here in Osaka, to all of you out there, wherever you may happen to be, thank you, arigato, arigasamurota, sayonara, see you, and ciao.